Good evening, viewers. Welcome to the Creative Sagittarius. This is our podcast, Bharat and Geopolitics, where we delve into the intricate world of geopolitics and international relations. Today, we embark on a fascinating journey through the corridors of power, examining the evolving relationship between two global giants, Russia and China, and its profound implications for India. The strategic alliance between Russia and China is a pivotal force shaping the geopolitical landscape of the 21st century. As these two nations strengthen their ties across various domains, from trade and defense to technology and diplomacy, the ripple effects are felt far and wide, including in the South Asian region. In this episode, we are honored to host Dr. Adityanjee. Dr. Adityanjee is the president of the Council for Strategic Affairs. He is a distinguished expert in international affairs who will shed light on the intricacy of the Russian-Chinese partnership and its implications for India. With years of experience and unparalleled insights, Dr. Adityanjee is uniquely positioned to offer us valuable perspective on this crucial topic. So, dear viewers, sit back, relax, and prepare to be enlightened as we unravel the complexities of global politics and its impact on the Indian subcontinent. Without further ado, let's extend a warm welcome to our esteemed guest, Dr. Adityanjee, and delve into this thought-provoking discussion. Welcome, Dr. Adityanjee. Welcome to the Creative Sagittarius.
Thank you very much indeed, Mr. Sinha. It's always a pleasure to come on your platform because you discuss very interesting topics. So I'm pleased to be here again.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. We are honored to have you here. So directly coming to the topic, this is a news item that we came across a few days back. The two-way trade between India and Russia, the two giants, reached 240 billion people in 2023, which is the highest ever. The growing closeness of Moscow and Beijing and Russia's alarming dependence on China pose a strategic challenge for India. So we have the two main questions on our mind. What could be the strategic challenges for India and how India should deal with them? So I'll be going part by part, looking from the geopolitical perspective. How do you assess the evolving geopolitical landscape in Asia with the strengthening alliance between Russia and China? And what are the implications for India's regional influence and security? So what's your comment, sir?
Mr. Sinha, I just want to make a correction. You probably misspoke. The bilateral two-way trade between China and Russia reached 240 billion in 2023. That was a 25% increase over the previous year. I think in your introduction, you said bilateral trade between India and Russia. It's not India and Russia, it's China and Russia.
Yes.
So that is definitely, I wanted to make correction. You know, the world is never static. There is no end of history. There's no vacuum. There's no power vacuum. And if we see the vicissitudes of international relations, there are no permanent enemies. There are no permanent friends.
Yes.
And you see cycles of relationships and friendships. And in that process, I would suggest that post-2022, definitely Russia and China have come together. It has become a kind of strategic axis. Some geopolitical thinkers have coined a term called dragon bear. Actually, that's a European journalist and geopolitical expert, Valina Trashkova, who has coined this term dragon bear as an entity, geopolitical concept. These two combined, joined at the hip. Situation may not be that coordinated. In fact, I coined an acronym which was somewhat funny because of its connotation. It was PRIC.
Okay.
PRIC standing for, it was another quad. I called it an anti-quad quad. In relation to the quadrilateral security dialogue, and PRIC stands for Pakistan, Russia, Iran, and China. So one of the newspaper op-ed piece, the editor changed the name to CRIP because PRIC has some other connotations in popular language. So the bottom line is that we are seeing reshaping of the world. And this is not happening in vacuum. This is not happening in vacuum because there is a factor that is leading to all these permutations and combinations. And that factor is United States. Why Russia and China are coming together? Because of United States' continued obsession with the Russian Federation from the end of the Cold War. Besides enlarging the NATO eastward and just bringing at the Russian doorstep by offering it to Ukraine, I think United States did a mistake. It did a serious mistake because it has driven the Russian Federation into the arms of China, which is a major international threat at this point in time.
Yes, it is.
So we are seeing the reaction of what United States and NATO continue doing over a period of time, enlarging NATO eastward. And this rang alarm bells in the Russian Federation. You know, they annexed Crimea in 2014, but at that time, there was involvement of some State Department officials in encouraging a popular revolt called Maidan Revolution that led to ouster of one of the Ukrainian, popularly elected Ukrainian president who was deposed and had to flee to Russia. And he was pro-Russian. So that gave actually bad taste to Russia. And Russia decided to stop NATO expansion eastward. After the Ukraine invasion by Russia, because of sanctions against Russia, Russia had no other allies and China served the purpose. So China's imports from Russia increased tremendously because of the sanctions on Russian energy supplies. There were a lot of countries that stopped buying Russian oil or Russian gas. China stepped in. And in fact, they have been buying heavily discounted Russian gas supplies and Russian oil supplies. And you are seeing actually not only trade ties improving, but also MTC. MTC stands for Military Technological Cooperation. So you see the vicissitudes of Russia, China, military technological cooperation. Between period of 2014 to 2019, it had almost stagnated. It was not increasing. And there are reasons for that. Because China is very, very adroit at exploiting any technology, reverse engineer it, and create Chinese product, whether it is in civilian sector or dual use sector or in military sector.
Yes. That way it can become a manufacturing giant.
Yes. So what China had done, that they had purchased some Sukhoi 27 aircraft from Russia, I think starting in 1998 or something like that.
Mm.
And then they reverse engineered it, and there came, I think, J-11, which was manufactured in SAC, a Chinese aircraft, corporation. Similarly, China had purchased S-300 batteries from Russia and then reverse engineered it and built up its own missile defense shield using a system called HQ-15. So Russia had actually plateaued the military technological cooperation with China because Russia was afraid of Chinese embrace, tight embrace. The Ukrainian war left no option for Russia and Putin to get back into the arms of China. And yes, it has consequences for Asia, consequences for India. This relationship has a strategic dimension. It's not an alliance, it's a partnership. I would say it's a marriage of convenience because deep in the heart, Russians know what Chinese intentions are. Like China is putting claims in South China Sea for all the islands, against ASEAN countries. They have claims on India, they have claims on Japan, on Senkaku Islands. China also has a hidden claim, dormant claim on Russian city of Vladivostok.
Okay.
That was before 1860 under Chinese control.
Okay.
Till Russia expanded and created a garrison town and a naval port. So Russian Federation is very much wary of China's demographic invasion of Russian Far East. So the relationship is not so cozy as everyone thinks. I think it will require prudence on part of United States to not treat the Russian Federation as their main adversary. I think they are being myopic and they are driving this relationship, which is going to strengthen China, because China's strategy is let Russia and United States duke it out, exhaust their energies while they conserve their military strength and technological strength and economic strength. The numero uno. All this while, although they have words of support for Russia, but they have never, 100% given backing to Russia. They have sometimes acted as if they are going to be mediator in Ukraine-Russia conflict. So they are playing both ways. And at that time, they have their talks open with United States, which Xi Jinping did in November of 2023 in San Francisco on the sidelines of APEC meeting in San Francisco when he had a one-to-one summit meeting with Joe Biden.
Okay.
So Russia is playing all the, China is playing all the sides. They are trying to, seek concessions from European Union, trade concessions and other things. But end game is that China is conserving its military and technological strength so that they can at some point in time take over Taiwan, take over Senkaku Islands, and convert South China Sea as China's private lake with all the hydrocarbon and mineral assets there in. That is China's game plan.
That's a big game actually for China.
It's a big game, and Chinese always think very far ahead. And as far as impact on India is concerned, we have to be very cautious. In more than one way. India has been ultimate balancer and has good relationships pretty much with all the countries across the ideological and north-south divide. So at this point in time, India has good relationship with United States, despite some hiccups. We have good relations with Russia, but when push comes to shove, Russia may not support India. We have to understand that in 1962, they used to support India. They said, you are our friends, Chinese are our commie brothers. So just remember that. And I will tell you that prior to Taliban takeover of Afghanistan in 2021, Russia was in forefront of, organizing conferences, for Afghanistan's future. In collaboration with China and Pakistan, and trying to exclude India from those. And that is when I coined this acronym called PRIC or PRIC, anti-Quad Quad, because Russia was miffed that India was coming closer to the United States in strategic terms, and they wanted to sell arms to Pakistan at that point in time, and they wanted to have a gas pipeline extended to, Pakistan. So we have to understand that as far as India's strategic interests are concerned, India has to be reliant on itself. Because whatever 45% of India's arms hardware comes from Russia. And China already has it. And whatever China has, China shares it with Pakistan. So they started, after getting Russian technology for fighter aircraft, they started joint production with Pakistan for JF-17, which is a dud. Nevertheless, they still transfer the technology to Pakistan.
But just one off-track questions. I think the India also has a big plan for Afghanistan, the way India is dealing with Afghanistan. Because
why not? Why not? Why not?
Currently, Afghan is dependent on India for a lot of things.
Well, and this is why I was saying that, it was very apparent that Sergei Lavrov at that time behaved in a very imperious manner vis-a-vis India's Ministry of External Affairs and refused to invite them to summits that they had organized in Russia. So, yes, India is emerging as a regional power. India has to safeguard her interests and make sure that our undue reliance on Russian arms and hardware is not exploited by China, because China reverse engineers everything and shares everything with Pakistan. So I won't say that India should diversify its sources of acquisition. I would say India needs to become self-reliant. This, diversifying the source of arms and hardware has to be a short-term stopgap measure. Ultimately, if you want to become a strong country and if you want to become a power to reckon with, you have to have your own military-industrial complex. And that is what India should focus on.
Definitely, and India is aggressively working on that front, actually, because recently they have exported the BrahMos missile to Philippines. So, yes, sir, please continue.
I think you are right, but BrahMos is joint production with Russian Federation.
Yeah, it was.
If Russia vetoes it, although it's a private company, the BrahMos Corporation is a private company with, I think, 49% equity participation from Russian Federation, yet they veto it. So any export of BrahMos missiles, we have to keep the sensitivity of our Russian investors. It's not 100%.
Do we need to take any approval from Russia before exporting?
Not in a formal manner.
Okay.
Not in a formal manner.
So moving to the second question, that is for the defense cooperation, I think you have to some extent answered. With Russia and China deepening their defense cooperation, what are the potential ramifications for India's defense strategy and military capabilities? And how should India respond to ensure its security interests are safeguarded? Would you like to add something to it?
Yeah, China and Russia are doing joint military exercises. And these joint military exercises in the past have been done under the rubric of SCO, Shanghai Cooperation Organization, prior to India's entry. They are doing joint naval exercises in South China Sea, in the Sea of Japan, and in the Pacific also. So that is an issue of concern. As you know, that China is the rising hegemon, and China wants to become de facto Indian Ocean power. So any improvement, any enhancement in Chinese capabilities, whether they are naval, whether they are, space, whether they are sort of cyber warfare, any capabilities, if they get technology transfer from Russia, this will come to India's detriment. China has not fought a hard war since 1979. So their PLA does not have combat experience. In contrast to that, Russia has had combat experience, and they are getting it in now in Ukraine. Very live and teachable experience. They have had small operations in Moldova and Georgia, Crimea. And actually, when they do joint military exercise with China, the PLA gains from that experience. China and Russia are also cooperating on space programs. And China always has the skill to purchase technology initially in small dosages, in small trenches, and then reverse engineer that. So that is a problem for India, especially because some of our acquisitions, like S-400, China also has S-400. So how do you use S-400 to, sort of protect our assets when China knows how S-400 functions? So India may have to design in her own BMD, ballistic missiles defense shield.
So one very relevant question coming to my mind, as we have seen that China has mastered reverse engineering and try to get anything, whatever it needs by one way or another. So how do you gauge China's knowledge and skills on creating something new? So far as the skill of the Chinese technical people is concerned.
I would not actually underestimate China. Yes, they are adroit, they are adept at copying any technology, but they also have a very vibrant R&D sector. If you see the number of patents, they are the second most country, or maybe coming to the first now. In every sphere they have done their investments in research and development. So if you see the citation indices, number of papers in scientific peer-reviewed journals being published, China has come a long way. India is still far behind, although India is now progressing in terms of new startups or unicorns, number of dollar billionaires. India has surpassed China in that process. So I would not say that China has all the technologies that are stolen or reverse engineered. China has also perfected its own technologies. Yes, like any other country, they may have purchased initially, but their timelines are very small. And I'll give you an example. China did not have any experience in aircraft carrier manufacturers. In 1998, China purchased a shell or basic platform of Varia class aircraft carrier from Ukraine and it was not China that purchased it, it was a Chinese businessman who purchased it for $20 million, ostensibly to start a floating casino. Oh. This was post-Soviet Union breakup. Ukraine was not able to finish this into an aircraft carrier, did not have resources, they sold it to China under deception. That it was like 70% built. The moment this platform was transferred to Chinese dock, government of China took over. They didn't even give compensation to the Chinese businessman. And it became first Chinese aircraft carrier Lionic. At this point in time, China is building its fourth aircraft carrier, 65,000 ton range. Compared to this, India had always been operating aircraft carriers. Vikrant and Virat. And where are we? We have only two. One of them is indigenously designed, 45,000. The second one is a Russian acquisition, INS Vikramaditya. Third one is now just approved for manufacture. China has plans to have 6 aircraft carrier formations by 2035. We can't even decide about budget, approving the budget for one. So China shortens the timeline when they start acting. China has 87, I think, nuclear submarines.
87?
Yep.
I think the USA has 92 or something like that.
I guess so. India has 3 or 4. So, they believe they create assembly lines and using their dictatorial system, they push forth mass production in their military industrial complex. So my suggestion to you and to the establishment is don't undercount China. China has capabilities. Don't underestimate the adversary. It's a serious threat.
87 submarine is a big number actually. Very big number. So moving to the economic dynamics, as Russia becomes increasingly reliant on China economically, how might it impact India's economic interest, particularly in terms of energy security, trade relations, and access to markets?
Well, there are no zero-sum games in international relations and international trade. China is capitalizing on Russia's inability to sell energy to Europe. So China is buying at discount, so are we. So India is also buying on discount. So it's not that China's purchases are exclusive to India's purchases. So that is number one. Russia will sell energy to any willing buyer. I think where we could have done better was that, when Russia's access to luxury goods from European markets was withdrawn because of the financial sanctions, we could have stepped in. We have certain capabilities, but we don't do mass production. So we could have captured the Russian markets to the exclusion of European suppliers. And what ended up happening that European goods were routed to Russian Federation through third country. So I think sometimes we lose opportunity because our systems are so slow to, function and capitalize the opportunity. I guess you can call it democratic delay.
Yeah, because someone from the government only commented long time back actually. In democracy, things move slow. So that way they comment why we take so much of time.
So, in fact, the other things are happening as the Western countries uh, start friend-shoring their manufacturing outfits, units from China to other countries. We should present India as a alternative. Again, there has been a delay in that.
Yeah,
So, yes, we are working with Taiwan to develop, advanced computer chips, advanced microprocessors.
yeah,
Even for other things, consumer items, low technology items, we should have replaced China as production facility. We have done in one area.
mm,
I'll tell you where we have done that very skillfully. That is toys.
okay.
So it tells you that it can be done. It's not that it cannot be done.
Mm,
I think where we need to give push is the rare earths,
yeah,
capture of rare earths. We also need to look into, engineering products. India has strong engineering skills. So there's a need to have a comprehensive national policy for domestic manufacturing in all the sectors, not just one sector. And they should sort of complement each other, the policy, whether small scale sector
mm,
or medium scale. So I won't say just S&ME, even the advanced manufacturing sector, where you require computerized
yeah,
manufacturing, CNC machining.
mm,
I think we need to have all these sectors under a national policy so that India becomes an alternative manufacturing hub. Without that, in time of crisis, the country will suffer, country will pay. And it was shown in the recent Wuhan virus pandemic
yeah,
that after initial struggles, India was able to build its own vaccine.
yeah.
So if you put the national attention on manufacturing, I think that will go a long way to reduce the trade imbalances and market access issues.
So from economics, we are moving to the regional impact.
Hmm.
How do you foresee the collaboration between Moscow and Beijing influencing regional dynamics in areas where India, is India actively engaged, such as Central Asia, Afghanistan, and the Indian Ocean region? So, what challenges does this pose for India's foreign policy objectives? And
India has not been really a player in Central Asia. India's influence in Central Asia has been very patchy and very cautious. And I think that was a mistake by successive governments that we did not raise our profile in Central Asia. India does have interest, very active interest in Afghanistan, come what may. India also has interest in fostering bilateral relationship with Iran.
mm,
Uh, and again, there are no zero-sum games. We are working with Iran for the Chabad port, commercial port.
yeah,
China is showing interest there. So I guess it's a question of issue of competitive engagement. One thing that has become very clear that China has serious interest in Afghanistan. Even in Taliban one regime, they wanted to exploit copper and minerals in Afghanistan, and they had signed some memorandums of understanding. And even now, they are working with Taliban 2.0 governments, trying to exploit the mineral resources because they don't have any ideological inhibition about working with a fundamentalist jihadi regime.
Yes.
But it is what it is. Geopolitics is geopolitics, and you have to talk to whoever is controlling that territory.
Right.
Because we cannot really cut off Afghanistan totally just because they are under Taliban. And in fact, when Pakistan thought that they got strategic depth because of Taliban 2.0, their hopes have been yes, misfired. So they are having the trouble, and they are having border skirmishes with Taliban, a Pakistani army. So we have to continue to work aggressively in Central Asia and Afghanistan to safeguard our interests. What China is trying to do is that there is a sort of part of slice of Afghanistan called Wakhan Corridor. That is a small strip of land that has border de facto and de jure border with Indian territory, Union territory of Ladakh. But it is under adverse possession of Pakistan at this point in time.
Yes.
And it is India's geopolitical interest that we reverse that adverse possession of POL, Pakistan occupied Ladakh, so that we have a direct land border with Afghanistan in Wakhan corridor. That is a serious challenge for India geopolitically, because that would be India's corridor to Central Asia, land corridor.
So, sir, actually, we have 4 questions left, and our time is up. So, I am just ending this session, and we'll be restarting. Give me 4 or 5 minutes, 5-6 minutes, I think, and we'll restart.
That's perfectly fine.
Okay, thank you, Sia. Thank you, viewers. So, if you have any comments, you can just write here. We'll be answering your questions, and this session is going to end, and we'll be coming back again in 5 minutes. So thank you so much. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.